Hello, everyone. Once again, just back from SDA stream. Welcome to the Scribe Light stream. I'm joined, as always, with SDA. Hi, SDA.
Hi.
And we are Sans Monkey tonight. Unfortunately, Grand Monkey has taken ill, and Ranting Monkey and Lady Monkey have been caring for the ill Grand Monkey this evening, and as a result, Monkey will not be able to join us tonight. So as a result, SDA and I will just be having sort of a relaxed stream tonight, probably just go for about an hour since we just babbled for an hour on Daredevil on her side of things.
Yeah.
So we'll cover the news and do the usual stiffs and then turn it over to chat shortly.
And if you want to donate to Grand Monkey's well-being, there is a
Don't exploit
$sign.
No, don't exploit the Grand Monkey in my name.
Monkey won't mind. I'm doing it. It's not you.
If you want to support the Grand Monkey, wait until the next Monkey stream on Monkey's channel. I have no way of getting money to Grand Monkey via my channel. However,
do it anyway.
If you'd like to support my channel, by all means, there's a $sign. But already, even before the stream began, we had a donation from Mike C. And so I just wanted to say, this broadcast is brought to you by Mike C. For less filling, tastes great alcoholism, try Mike C. There you go, Mike. You are a beer.
Yay.
So I was going to start with the newsy news. As the title of the stream might indicate, Macron won the French election. I'm not 100% sure what that means because I'm not a French person. I don't know French politics. But from what I understand of the mainstream media, by electing Macron, France has rejected the far right. Now, before I read the article on it, I tried to find the specifics of what Macron's platform was, because I didn't know. And every article that I looked up on highlighted the fact that his platform was vague at best. He didn't really present anything firm, except for the fact that he was pro-European Union, and yeah, the most important, let's see, this is from Bloomberg News from back in March when they were going over his platform. Let's see. Analysts say that so long as he can beat Marine Le Pen and maintain France's engagement in the European Union, that will be reason enough to buy French assets. Quote, the most important is the commitment to the EU, said Jens Peter Sorensen, chief analyst at Danske Bank AS in Copenhagen. For the market, it's all about campaign and politics. In terms of pricing, it is the polls that are important. Macron says he'll slash the cost of labor and raise take-home pay through reductions in payroll taxes, unify France's disparate pension systems, encourage labor negotiations at the company level, but wouldn't raise the retirement age or cut pensions. Okay, so there's going to reduce taxes, but not cut pensions. So where's all that money to come from? Don't know.
Not important, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of people are comparing him to be the Hillary of the French political scene, I suppose, both for the fact that he's not quote unquote far right, and also that he had his emails hacked just days before the election, which apparently had no effect on him winning or losing at all because he won anyway. And that was the prediction, because unlike our election where everybody was kind of like, oh yeah, Hillary's going to win and Trump won out, in this one the pollsters were correct the whole time, I suppose. But it's interesting that the message coming across on the mainstream seems to be that France has rejected the far right. Is that what Marine Le Pen represented? I don't know.
I don't know either. I know that she was very anti-EU. Other than that, I'm kind of not sure.
And also anti-immigration, or at least wanted a reduction of the immigration freedoms that were going on.
Right.
So let's see. This is CNN's take on it. France's president-elect Emmanuel Macron has promised to, quote, fight the divisions that undermine France after defeating far-right candidate Marine Le Pen. Macron has won 65.51% of the vote, with 98.12% of polling stations declared. In a clear rejection of France's mainstream parties, voters have turned to the 39-year-old to help bring unity to a deeply fractured country. The result is remarkable considering Macron, a centrist independent, campaigned without a traditional party and with no experience of governing. So in that way, he's kind of like Trump sort of. It's kind of a weird combination of factors over in France. I know the country is divided, and this has led to people voting for extremes, Macron said in a speech at his team's headquarters. I understand the anger, the anxiety, the doubt, which many of you have expressed, and it is my responsibility to hear that. Yeah, it is your responsibility to hear that. How are you going to address it, I wonder? Don't know. Let's see. Oh, let's go over the details. Let's see. Le Pen concedes. Earlier, Le Pen told supporters she had called to congratulate Macron after exit estimates projected a heavy defeat for the far-right candidate. The French have chosen a new president, Le Pen told supporters. Okay, I'm waiting to find out what he's going to do. Okay. Macron's to-do list. Okay. Let's see. Come on, where's the to-do list? Wow, CNN, you're really... All right, Macron's key challenges. The third biggest economy in Europe, France has not recovered as strongly from the global financial crisis as its neighbors. Its unemployment rate, which stands at roughly 10%, is higher than the Eurozone average and more than double the level of joblessness in Germany and Britain. GDP figures are finally improving, but they remain at very low levels, while the growth outlook from the International Monetary Fund is one of the weakest in the Union.
Thank you, Tailed.
Oh, what Tailed do? Tailed fucking new. This broadcast is brought to you by Tailed Feature. If you'd like to eat some haggis, try Tailed Feature. Let's see. During the campaign, Macron promised to cut corporate tax rates gradually to 25% from 33%. He also wants to cut local housing taxes for the majority of French people and reform the wealth tax. So if he's cutting all these taxes, where is he going to get the money from to pay for that?
I don't know.
He has pledged to cut public spending by 60 billion euros, $64 billion a year, partly by making the government more efficient. He said he would cut up to 120,000 government employees by not filling positions as workers retire. Aha. So he's going to pay for it so he's going to shrink government to pay for lowering taxes.
Maybe nuts. That sounds like a more right-wing strategy.
In the American side of things, yes. I guess it depends on how you define right-wing in different political systems, I suppose.
Well, it sounds more pro-small government than...
Yeah, exactly, which is how we would define right-wing. So I guess if the definition of... Because that's what makes it interesting for me to read these mainstream things saying, the French have rejected the far right. And I'm thinking,
yeah.
Well, his policy, it seems like his policies and everything else from our perspective would be considered relatively conservative.
Yeah, that would be something that I would consider voting for.
Right.
Whereas his stance on immigration is not something that I would necessarily support.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting.
Yeah, the chat is saying Le Pen is economically left on many things. Le Pen is France's version of Trump, very anti-EU, very pro-France, very nationalist. Yeah, this is what's weird about this guy is that he's pro-EU, but he's small government, which is that seems like a contradiction in terms to me because EU is all about bureaucracy and government.
Yeah, I guess it's just, I think what people forget is that sometimes nationalism and socialism go together.
Mm-hmm.
They certainly went together during World War II. I guess it's just one of those things that people sort of consider a nationalism to be a far right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if these were American candidates, I would probably be more in favor of him than Le Pen.
Let's see.
From an economic standpoint.
Hey, let's have Tailed on. Why not? He's still awake. I wasn't sure if he was still going to be awake right now, so I will send him the link real quick. Maybe he has some insight on the whole France stuff, as he is closer there than we are. Perhaps he would know something we don't. So I've sent you the link, Tailed. Come on if you'd like. Let's see. While we wait for Tailed, I have another smaller. It was a pretty slow news day, I will say. Aside from the whole France thing, there wasn't a whole lot going on today. I have found a couple of interesting stories. One is a Republican in our country who said something that, to my mind, just is completely stupid. He's being called out for it. House Republicans took a massive political risk this week. They passed unpopular legislation to reform and replace the Affordable Care Act with no sense of how much it would cost or how many Americans it would or would not cover, or whether the Senate will even act on it. What Republicans desperately need now is an aggressive messaging effort aimed at explaining to a wary public why the American Health Care Act will actually make their lives better. Raul Labrador, who is a Republican senator, I think. Yeah. Labrador did the exact opposite of all of that at a town hall meeting in Lewiston, Idaho on Friday. And here's the quote that pretty much threw him into the garbage dump. Quote, "Nobody dies because they don't have access to health care," unquote.
Was there anything else, or was he making fun of somebody, or did he say that on purpose?
I will read the story and tell you what I know.
Oh, is this one of those situations where I'm asking too many questions?
It's like, I'll get there. The Republican congressman from Idaho said in response to a statement by a woman that the lack of health care was essentially asking people to die. And that was his response. Nobody dies because they don't have access to health care. If you didn't hear that line before now, never fear, you'll be hearing it a lot more in Democratic campaign ads over the next 18 months or so. No kidding. Let's see. Yeah, so that was basically the story. It's just that this guy's trying to sound like he knows what he's talking about.
I mean, I would say that you're not likely to... You can make the argument that because you can't refuse treatment to somebody just because they don't have insurance or because they can't pay for it.
No. So, if you can't afford, if you're going to go bankrupt and you can't afford it, plenty of people end up having lesser or worse care as a result of not having access.
I'm not saying they don't, but I'm saying that it's illegal for...
It's true.
A hospital to not treat somebody.
Right. But the disincentive of financial ruin for some of the expensive stuff versus just trying to deal with it on your own is a strong one in our society.
I know. I'm not saying that that's not the case. I'm just saying that I guess if you wanted to put it a little bit more eloquently and be less of a retard, you could go down that road, but that, I don't know.
And Tailed here. Hi, Tailed.
Evening.
I wasn't sure if you were going to still be awake at this hour, so we'll take advantage of you, so to speak, as long as you are able to.
You have my consent to take advantage.
Excellent. Of me, yes. Oh, that's all I need. I love consent. I'm such a consent fan. So you're geographically closer to the whole French thing than we are. Do you have any insight into this whole shebang that we don't?
I think the main thing is that it was a bit of a surprise because obviously Macron was the establishment candidate more so than Le Pen, even though she's like her father was the ran the National Front Party for many years, but yeah, she was obviously going against the establishment by wanting to have a referendum on the EU and all that kind of thing. So it was a bit of a surprise that a Rothschild banker ended up winning.
Yeah. Is he actually I'm so out of it on this. Is he actually a Rothschild banker? I don't get it. Or is that all just a conspiracy?
Yes. No, that is apparently true.
Apparently, oh geez. Yeah, because
apparently true. Yeah, some guy down the pub told me.
Oh, okay, I see. No, everything I'm reading about his platform sounds like SD and I are saying, it just sounds completely conservative, right wing in a small government sense, and yet he's pro EU. Does that make any sense over there? I don't understand that contradiction.
Well, the EU is just a contradiction in terms, really.
Yes,
isn't it, the whole thing. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that he just kind of appeared out of nowhere as well. That was the other thing. But I think the French maybe thought that Le Pen was maybe a bit too right wing, or maybe the media got to them, or I don't know, maybe Russia didn't like Le Pen. Who knows?
So is Le Pen actually right wing insofar as French politics are concerned? I mean, you're Scottish, maybe you don't know. It just seems kind of odd to me that they classify her as right wing when so much about Macron's platform would be considered here, aside from the pro EU part. And I guess
from a financial perspective, from a fiscal perspective, he's the right wing candidate.
Yeah, I guess when you're European and you talk about right wing, obviously you kind of think of Nazis.
Yeah.
So because she, had quite strong opinions on immigration and things like that. It's the same here with UKIP, even though they now pretty much don't exist anymore after the council elections last Thursday. They just because they have some opinions akin to what was going on in Nazi Germany and stuff like that. Nothing as extreme as that, obviously, but that's enough to be labelled right wing. Doesn't matter if you're, for big government, small government. It doesn't really matter. If you're racist or deemed to be racist, then you're right wing by default.
Right. That seems
that's
to be
weird
the line.
too, because the Nazis were socialists.
Yes.
So
yes.
it's a little weird when they go there.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, though. I mean, it depends. Depends who you ask as well, but it depends if it's big N nationalism or small N nationalism. That's the other thing. That's something that people kind of forget about. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they were obviously socialists. They wanted very big government, everything controlled by the government. But yeah, brown shirts and beating up people and for their ethnicity and whatnot, that's right wing, apparently.
Yeah, I just the way CNN and other places are announcing it, like, France rejects the right wing, and yet aside from the EU part, there's not a whole heck of a lot about Macron that I don't think he and Trump would get along on.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So as far as that goes,
I would agree with that from what I've seen. I think one of the funny things was just the fact that Sargon got it completely wrong. He was absolutely convinced that Le Pen was going to win.
Yeah, he thought she'd pull out sort of a Trump situation and all that. I was, for lack of a better phrase, I was Switzerland on the whole deal. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, everything I'm hearing is one thing or the other. But then, what little I know about both candidates, it sounds like, well, you're getting sort of a quasi mix of both what America would consider Democratic and Republican ideologies sort of mushed together in both of them. So I don't know. The only difference being the EU thing, which I guess is really is France going to have the next Brexit situation?
Yeah, well, it doesn't look like. I mean, that was the thing. Even though Le Pen was anti-EU, she wasn't just going to obviously enact Brexit. She was just gonna let the people decide. Whereas I don't think Macron even has the intention of giving them the chance to decide.
Unless there's some kind of independent referendum that comes up. I don't know how French politics works. I was kind of surprised by the whole media blackout on campaign stuff for like the 48 or 72 hours leading up to the election. That was kind of, I never heard of that before, but then I guess that's
we've got a couple of things like that over here, and I think it's the week before an election. There's actually not meant to be any kind of campaigning going on.
Interesting. That would never happen here. That'll never happen here at all. In any way, shape.
No, I think it depends how you define campaigning as well.
Yes, exactly.
I don't think you're allowed to go knocking on people's doors.
Yeah, but your proxies can do all types of stuff in the meantime.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's see. SDA before the stream said she had a story from a couple weeks back she wanted to cover that was interesting to her.
It's from a couple days ago, but it's been floating around Twitter. So you guys if you're active on Twitter, you've probably already seen it. It's from Vice. So
that tells you something.
Yeah. It says, why are so many women searching for ultra-violent porn?
I know why.
A quarter of straight porn searches by women are for videos featuring violence against their own sex. 5% of searches by women are for content portraying non-consensual sex. While men still search for significantly more porn than women, search rates for these extreme types of sexual content are at least twice as common among women than men. And
research. It must be research or something.
Yeah.
Well, they actually
feminist research.
They actually say something like that. They say a sociologist, a professor of sociology, says we don't know if they're looking out of interest. They're just researching gangbangs for reasons, or doing it because that's what their boyfriends or hookups want. because of course you discuss what kind of porn should I be searching for, or if they're actually masturbating to it. So it's either a homework assignment, they want to see fake rape, or they're actually into it. Can't be the third one though, because then they would have agency and
yeah,
well, obviously, yeah. Or do you not think that men might be signed in as their wives or their girlfriends?
Yes, right. Yeah. Using my wife's account to look up violent porn against women.
Because that makes, I mean, right. It couldn't just be that women are disproportionately, for whatever reason, interested in that. That's not why.
Well, there's, in my experience, and it's a limited experience, but there is a greater propensity in women to want to be taken, and not in a Liam Neeson sense, but be like sort of like overpowered, to be dominated. Yeah, dominated.
Well, yeah, I mean, fucking duh.
I mean, what now? Some more extreme than others. Yeah, some more extreme than others, but
bearing shits in the woods. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Because and this is the other thing you got to remember too, or at least I should be saying this to Vice. Porn is fantasy. Porn it allows you to witness things or project yourself into situations that you will never be a part of, but you can fantasize about. I talked about this on my secondary channel last week about the people having guilt over their fantasy life. You know, the idea that you've had a dirty thought, or you've had something that's a bad thought in a sexual sense or otherwise. It's, you know, your fantasy life is your safe haven. You don't have to apologize for it. It doesn't hurt anybody by having it. If you watch violent porn because you have those tendencies in your imagination, but you would not ever do such a thing in real life, that's perfectly fine. But I think, like I say, there's a reflex in a lot of women to want to be taken have their control taken away from them in passionate ways or even violent ways as a catharsis. You know, 50 Shades of Grey would not be as popular as it is unless there was something about that scenario, obviously not about the quality of the writing, that spoke to something in the fans of that material.
Well, and even when you consider how many people who are very familiar with the BDSM thing were, how upset they were with the portrayal of it, you know, I guess for a bunch of old women who have to go to work and do shit, and be in charge of their own lives, like, you know, you can see where women have a natural tendency to want to be submissive.
Mm-hmm.
And she said it in chat, but earlier we were talking about it, and she brought up that due to our current social and political and economic climate, women are expected to essentially behave like men.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't surprise me that, to compensate for that, a fantasy part of their brains would go to that extreme to compensate for the fact that they have to act like men in their daily lives.
Well, I can speak to that directly, because one of my first partners in BDSM stuff, in her real life, she was the head of the household, essentially. She had a job where she was the supervisor over people. Every day and at every point in her day, she was having to make arrangements for things, both professionally and personally. She was having to keep schedules for her kid and for her work, et cetera, et cetera. And so when everything was said and done, when the sun went down, the kid was to bed, all she wanted to do was not have to think, not have to be in charge, not have to worry about making all the decisions. And that need, especially when you have a limited amount of time between when the sun goes down and when you got to be back up doing all your work again, the most extreme of catharsis for, you know, letting control go and handing over control to somebody else is through sexual activity for the most part. So, yeah, and that's not to say there aren't naturally submissive women that just tend to are attracted to that notion as a matter of their nature, but at the same time, there's plenty of in-control professional women who are the most desirous of being submissive when they don't have to.
Well, I think it's because, and I'll say this because I'm a woman, and you can't punch me in the face for it.
Oh, shucks.
That
I punch like a woman. Does that count?
No. But I think that most women are naturally submissive, whether feminists like that or not. And so I think that's why mentally women are less happy as a result of all the changes that have been made to their personal lives thanks to feminism.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, feminism.
Thanks, feminism.
You've made us all a bunch of old miserable cows. I hope you're happy.
Oh,
fucking
boy.
moo.
Fucking moo. Let's see what we got in the chat. In dating, men are entirely responsible for initiation and pursuit. It is what it is. That's from 1 Ton Hammer. Ryan says every woman likes to be tied up and fucked until consent gets thrown out the window.
Jesus Christ.
Some do. Some do. Some don't. It all depends. Let's see. And Peter says men that have been tied up have been robbed, had parts cut off, and had their ankles broken.
Nice.
That's probably happened too.
Whatever they're into.
Yep. Whatever floats your boat, as long as it is safe, sane, and consensual. That is the 3 watchwords as far as that stuff goes. Or anything goes, really.
One of the funniest books I ever read was called 50 Shades of Grey. And it was just it was erotica written about just potting sheds and stuff like that. It was rather amusing.
Oh, man. Let's see. We had one, as far as I know, one article sent to us on the MSS News hashtag. And this was from Zen. Let's see. This is from New York Times. Tempers flare over removal of Confederate statues in New Orleans. And this is from, today. For Malcolm Suber, the Confederate monuments that dot this deep South city stand for white supremacy, pure and simple. Instead of just taking them down, Mr. Suber, an African-American activist and organizer, would like to see the city pass out sledgehammers and let everybody take a whack, just like the Berlin Wall. For Frank B. Stewart Jr., a white New Orleans native, the city government's plan to remove the statues, an idea championed by New Orleans' white mayor Mitch Landrieu, feels like an Orwellian attempt to erase history. This week, Mr. Stewart, 81, a businessman and civic leader, argued as much in a letter he published as a 2-page advertisement in The Advocate, a local newspaper. Quote, I ask you, Mitch, should the pyramids in Egypt be destroyed since they were built entirely from slave labor, he wrote. Mr. Stewart added, what about the Roman Colosseum? It was built by slaves who lived horrible lives under Roman oppression, but it still stands today, and we learned so much from seeing it. Such are the irreconcilable parameters of an ugly battle over race and history in New Orleans that only seems to be growing uglier, one that demonstrates the Confederacy's enduring power to divide Americans more than 150 years after the cause was lost. The Confederacy isn't dividing Americans. Okay, so people don't like certain aspects of history that are just parts of history. Now, I can understand putting a statue of Hitler up in the middle of Germany as some sort of like monument to the man. That would be a little, probably not good. If the only thing that these figures ever did was evil things, then okay, you don't want to have a statue up, fine. You make a vote or you run a petition or whatever, and they take it down. If you want to start denying history for the sake of things, this is the reversal of the whole thing. If you try to erase the fact that Confederacy happened, okay, you're just planting the seeds for something like that to happen again in some way, shape, or form. Maybe not now, but 100 years from now or something. Because like they say, if you do not remember history, you are doomed to repeat it. So having them as sort of watchwords for people, if nothing else, I think is valuable.
Oh yeah, and you don't want to, set a precedent. That painting has slaves in the background or something. Let's burn that painting. Oh, that book talks about slavery. Oh, I better get rid of that.
Yeah.
Well, I think part of the reason why we have such heated racial issues in America. Also, thank you, John.
Oh yes, I got to say, this broadcast is brought to you by John Woodruff. When you need to smooth out your planes, try John Woodruff.
I think part of the reason why maybe we're so diametrically opposed when it comes to race in the U.S. and why there's so many issues with it, I think part of it is because people are just kind of afraid of the past, and they're afraid to just acknowledge it for what it is, because any acknowledgement that you give it is spun as an endorsement of it.
Right. I mean, it's like if I do a history class where I go in depth on Nazism, I'm not promoting Nazism. I'm educating on it. You know, I mean, it's like it's the same idea as like exposure to contradictory ideas is somehow going to infest your mind, and they in and of themselves are sort of evils. It's
Well,
the
there's
same thing.
also the fear, I think, that if you know too much about the Confederacy, and you know too much about why it happened and the other factors besides slavery that led to it, you know, God forbid you should see human beings who did some pretty bad things. Well, not even for the most part, but you know, should you see the people who lived there at the time, just the average citizens as humans, that would be awful. So I think it all comes from that. Just like if you hear that, like if you understand it, you'll support it.
Right, and that's the whole thing about people shouting down Ann Coulter or Milo or something. Is it possible that you can entertain an idea without accepting it? That I mean, it's not like if I hear something that was bad, somehow now I'm bad for having heard it. It doesn't make any sense. Or that somehow if I go and listen to a speaker who's talking about things that I tend to disagree with, now I'm in support of that speaker. Oh, well, you paid for a ticket. Oh, well, yes, I paid for a ticket. Oh my God. Oh, the $5 I paid. Yes. Like now you're supporting hate. Like, oh, for God's sakes.
Well, it's the same with like comedians and stuff like that. You know, if you like a comedian who happened to say maybe distasteful jokes, that, oh well, you're condoning whatever they said. Like,
right?
No, that's not how it works.
Yeah, or like now we have this statue in our town, therefore this town is racist. No.
I mean, I live close to the largest bas relief carving in the world, and it's a Confederate memorial that they wanted to sandblast off of Stone Mountain. And which is funny because if they do that, then it goes back to, I think it's like the descendants of one of the guys who started up the Revival Clan. And then the entire park goes to him and he gets to make all the money off of it. So they kind of can't do it, which I think is funny, but so
trying to erase history, even if it's especially awkward history. I mean, this is the thing, is that what people seem to forget is that the Civil War was really what was the first and necessary test of the United States as a union. I mean, it was a costly test, but without the Civil War, we wouldn't be as solid a country today as we are, because that was really the test of two competing ideas over the same foundationary ideals of America. And the better one won, morally and otherwise, for the sake of the continuing history of the country. But you know, the Civil War is a part of our history. It's an important part of our history. Remembering that it happened and the figures involved therein is not an endorsement of the things over which it was fought. It is a remembrance that it happened. It's a part of how this country was formed. I mean, it was just sort of an experiment in a large part before the Civil War. And the Civil War was the first big test of, can this union actually survive a conflict within its own borders? And it did, even afterwards. And yeah, so I mean, if you're saying that, okay, glorifying this guy when ultimately he was a horrible racist and slave owner and did horrible things and everything else, I mean, you're taking down a statue, big deal. You want to make a big deal out of it and turn yourself into a hero for taking down a statue? Fine, okay, if it makes you feel better. But you're not erasing history. You're just taking down a statue. I don't understand it.
Well, and shoving history under the rug won't do any good.
No, because all that does is then say, I mean, it's the reverse psychology kind of thing. You say you can't have this thing, then that thing is wanted more. If you try to underscore the whole fact that there was a Confederacy, that there was a Civil War, that there were issues over which this country fought over, and ultimately one side won and the other didn't, people are just going to want that more. And it is part of people's heritage. I hate to tell you this, but some people take great pride in the fact that they come from the South. Having a little bit of quote unquote nationalist pride over being part of the South just as a fact of the history. If you want to say those people are racist naturally and everything else for having Southern support, great, call them racists. It does nothing. It changes nothing. The history is still there. If you want to say those people are evil because they have pride in their heritage and everything else, you're not doing anything to improve relations or just get on with things. You know, turning people into villains just because they happen to be from a place. Let's think about where that goes inevitably, regardless.
Well, I think they're still divided in the country because of the Civil War, because of the way that people view the South.
Sure.
And maybe it's because, I was born in Kansas. I lived in Kansas for. I learned to talk in Kansas. That's about it. And my dad's from Atlanta, so I've lived in the South forever. But there's definitely the South sticks together. All the Southern states do. Mm-hmm. And there's and people joke about it. If anything goes slightly wrong as far as national politics is concerned, everybody's like, well, we can always just reform the Confederacy. So that's always there. And I feel like that's not something that a lot of people from other parts of the country really understand. Mm-hmm. And part of it is, I think, because a lot of people think that if you're from the South, you're an idiot. Mm-hmm. And you're a racist piece of shit.
Right.
So, in a way, the rest of the country sort of backs the entire South into a corner of sticking up for each other and hating everybody else. Mm-hmm. So there's still sort of a sibling rivalry within the United States. Mm-hmm. Because of the Civil War. And it's probably due to how Reconstruction went. Mm-hmm. And the fact that Lincoln died and Johnson took over. And so that's probably the reason why we have those kinds of issues even to this day.
Yeah. What do you think about the colonies, Tailed?
we need them back.
I want to take them back for the Queen.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Queen, did you hear that Prince Philip, the Queen's husband, is retired from doing public duties and whatnot, unveiling plaques and
so the most professional plaque unveiler in the world, kind of thing. Yeah, most experienced.
Yeah, that's yeah. Uh-huh. He's got some brilliant quotes. For example, when he was speaking to a driving instructor in Scotland, he asked, how do you keep the natives off the booze long enough to get them through the test?
Oh, man.
Or when he was in Australia and he was speaking to an Indigenous Australian businessman, he said, do you still throw spears at each other?
Oh, the bluntness. Jesus.
Yeah, there's things like, people said they wanted more leisure. Now they complain they're unemployed. Straight to the point.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the only depiction of Prince Philip I have any recollection of is James Cromwell playing him in The Queen, which is the movie about Diana's death affecting the royal family and everything. And James Cromwell, which most people know as Babes from Babe the Pig's owner. It's that'll do, pig, that guy.
All right.
Or Star Trek First Contact, where he plays Zefram Cochrane. He plays Prince Philip, and his cantankerousness is just hilarious in the movie. So I wasn't sure if that's is that real? But now I hear these quotes about him, oh yeah, that's probably how he was. He was just this sort of completely just blasé, just detached, egocentric, just jerk.
Well, yeah.
Well, that's why I want to live to be really, really old. Because
you get away with that shit.
You can say whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, but do you not think it'll be different by the time that we're old? We'll be saying things like, check your privilege, young man. And they'll be saying, oh, granddad, shut up.
Oh, Jesus. Check your privilege. Oh, boy.
Yeah, because that's obviously all the social justice people just go mad whenever Prince Philip says anything because...
Of course. But he doesn't give a shit because it's I'm old, I'm rich, I'm royal, fuck you, I'm going to die, and I'll have a castle named after me, so go to hell.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sanguine! Thank you, Sanguine. Don't stay here too long, lads, or else you'll get all slitty-eyed.
Yes, that was a Prince Philip quote as well.
Oh no!
What was that?
It was
the
a
context?
bunch of I think it was British backpackers or something in China. They'd been there for 4 months or something, and he said, "Don't stay here too long, lads, or you'll get a slay."
Jesus.
I was like, 'cause that sounds like something I've said. So I didn't know if he was quoting me or somebody else. So you don't know that exactly.
Let's see. This broadcast is brought to you by Sanguine. When you want to attract vampires, try Sanguine.
Yeah. So one of my favorite ones was, if it has 4 legs and is not a chair, has wings and is not an aeroplane, or swims and is not a submarine, the Cantonese will eat it.
Holy shit. Oh my God. That guy is like the embodiment of everything that the social justice guys would like to kill.
Yes,
Which
pretty much.
Is what makes it fun.
Yeah, I think when he dies, I mean, he's 96 or something. When he dies, I think there'll be lots of people on the left going, oh well, good riddance and all that kind of stuff.
God, I'm just it just amazes
Somebody
me.
Should just put a microphone on him for the rest of the time that he's alive, so that we don't miss anything.
But he's not going to be meeting dignitaries and stuff like that anymore. So it's not going to be as fun.
So what he says in private should probably be like a way funnier.
What he says in private is probably going to become incoherent soon, because isn't he retiring because he has like mental deficiencies now?
Oh, probably. He's in his 90s.
Yeah, I heard it was like senility or maybe onset of some disease or something. So, well, let's see. In the last 20 minutes, let's turn it over to chat. Chat, do you have any questions or things or stuff or ideas to talk about in tomorrow night's stream? Granted that Grand Monkey gets better and
I mean, we'll still stream.
Yeah, we'll still stream, but let's see. Ryan Walters, they want to decolonize Europe by making Europe majority brown. Yeah, well, that's one way to do it.
I mean, but Europe wasn't colonized in the first place.
They're colonialists, though, and so
that's not the same.
That's the payback. The payback is they have to decolonize the colonialists.
No, we have the fancy guns. Go away.
Let's see. Yeah, so last call, guys, for questions. We've got the last 15 minutes or so to the chat and anything that comes up. This is going to be just a partial stream tonight, because without Monkey, it's like, where do we go from here without our fearless leader? Let's see.
Rude to say in the
Scribe Light, did you see?
Yeah, thanks.
What? No, geez, pardon me. You're Scottish. What am I supposed to say? Scribe Light, did you see Amazing Atheist tweet explains a lot about his bitter self. If you think Daddy 05's kids are abused, then your parents must have been saints. Well, if that's what Amazing Atheist said, I fear for what his childhood was like.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, Jesus.
I don't think his parents were saying, it's just a prank, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Or filming it and broadcasting it to the world and showing your emotional distress as entertainment.
And I don't doubt that there are kids who are more abused than those children, but it doesn't mean that they're not being abused.
Yeah. Scribe, have you seen John Wick 2? I have not. I have not seen John Wick 2 yet. I still mean to go see Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I was supposed to do that on Friday, but then some crazy stuff happened at work that prevented me from doing anything but sitting around at work for extra 6 hours. So, let's see. Somebody said moo. So moo to you.
Say pinchy mop. I think it was meant to say moo.
Me.
Me.
M-U-U-U-U-U-U-U.
Yeah, well, that's the way you say it.
Yes, well, that's how it sounds. If I had to try to articulate it into letters, that's how it sounds when you say it's fucking me.
I haven't heard SDA give that a go yet.
I'm not doing that.
Okay. If you could choose any 4 abilities, powers from any anime, manga, book, movie, or comic book, what 4 powers would you choose and why?
I don't have to pick from anime, right?
You can.
Well,
you don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to, but you can.
4? I have to pick 4?
I guess.
That's so many.
I'd only need 1.
All right, you go first.
Freeze time.
Yeah, we talked about this.
Yeah, we talked about this.
You don't want any other ones?
If I could freeze time, that would pretty much cover the gamut. That would, sort of like be what couldn't I do at that point if I could freeze time?
I don't know. You still can't fly.
There was a kids show when I was but a wee lad, called Bernard's Watch, and he had that ability. He had this stopwatch, and he would press it, and everything would stop, and he would get up to mischief and
of course
solve crimes and whatnot.
Solve crimes.
So what about you?
Yeah, what one power would you have?
Me?
Yeah, just one, because 4 is kind of tough. So
I don't know, something like the power of deduction. I don't know.
I would think better.
Yeah. I suppose. I mean, invisibility would be quite good. I could just nope my way out of places. Someone comes up to me and I don't like, nope, just disappear.
Can it be?
And then go and steal things.
Yes.
Can it be something that I made up?
Yeah. Any power, whatever. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, if it's from an anime, I'd like to grow tentacles.
Oh, God.
No, yay, tentacle porn.
I never mentioned porn.
What do you want us to do?
That was you.
Isn't that the only reason why they have tentacles in anime?
Depends.
Well, that would be hentai, wouldn't it, rather than anime?
Isn't it the same damn thing?
I don't know.
No,
ask Miss Misa.
Hentai and anime are two. Anime is the all-encompassing thing for all that kind of anime, and hentai is a specific kind of anime.
Okay, so it's still anime.
Yes, hentai is a subset of anime.
Okay, but it's still anime.
What power would you want?
Basically, like, be able to teleport to anywhere that's in your visual range.
Oh yeah, like Nightcrawler. Yeah, okay.
No, it's different.
Well, no, Nightcrawler's powers is line of sight, so.
Well, I don't know anything about Nightcrawler, so.
No,
the only thing I know about Nightcrawler is it's a Judas Priest song.
Yeah, there's that too. It's also a very good movie with Jake Gyllenhaal in it. One of his better movies. Nightcrawler's a great movie. It's not about the mutant. Let's see. Hammer says, I'd like to be able to heal people like Wolverine heals himself. Just touch some poor cancer child and make him or her 100% healthy. Oh, that's nice. SDA doesn't go BAMF.
Sickeningly nice.
Yeah, SDA doesn't go BAMF. It's probably true, unless she's had a lot of beans or something. Let's see. Bloodwing says, the one power I would want is the ability to have any power I want. Aha! There's a character in Marvel Comics called The Answer, and his power was he manifested a power that was necessary to solve the problem right in front of him, and then the power went away. So like if he had to get into a building or something, he could become intangible just sort of as a reflexive thing. But unless he encountered a situation again where he needed to be able to do that, he couldn't just do it. It had to be in response to an actual situation. That was his power, which was kind of cool.
I don't know a lot about comics, to be honest.
I know way too fucking much. I wish I knew something more about like how to trade stocks correctly, but I know comic books, unfortunately.
Well, I know neither. So
I know stuff about like what's on the movies, which tends to upset people.
What's on the movies?
Yeah, like the comic book movies. Like that's my. If it wasn't in a Marvel movie that was recent, I probably don't know about it. And that tends to upset some of the more hardcore fanboys. I also like pretending that I don't know that Stanley is 2 words. They don't like that. And they don't like it when you mix up the Millennium Falcon, and the Enterprise. They don't like that either.
Yes.
The Millennial Falcon. Yeah.
The Millennial Falcon, yeah. Let's see.
Just as well I can't do an impression of you, Scribe.
Oh, we can't do Kermit the Frog?
Well.
Hello, Kermit the Frog here.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, I don't see any questions or nothing exciting from chat, or at least if there were, I've missed them. Just people.
Apparently, you blocked somebody, SDA.
Oh.
Yeah, I did.
Who'd you block?
I bopped Scotch on the nose because he's irritating.
No.
That's fair enough.
Scribe Light, did you ever learn about the Avars in school? They were a Turco-Mongol people who ruled Central Europe in the early Dark Ages. I never learned about them until college. No, I didn't learn anything about the Avars. The one thing I did learn in college that I hadn't expected to was about the Hmong culture or society, or however you want to put it, from Southeast Asia. I took up a job as reading textbooks onto tape for visually impaired and reading impaired students. And one of the textbooks I got that I ended up reading the whole thing out loud was a book detailing the Western versus Eastern medicine practices and beliefs of the Hmong, and on using the story of a small girl who had come over with first generation parents who had epilepsy, but in their culture they believed that when she was having a fit, she was contacting the spirit world, whereas over here, of course, she's ill and could possibly have damage done to her by having a uncontrolled seizure. And so there was this weird contrast between their beliefs that she was a special child in their mysticism, and over here where we were trying to cure her of that. And that disparity between belief and science was the basis of the book. Very interesting book. I learned more about that than anything else in college, and that was all sort of accidental and self-initiated. What part of Ireland are you from, Tailed?
I replied with the Scottish part.
Oh yeah, yes. Let's see. Netrumi Felburrows, if I'm saying that right. Scribe Blight, how bad do Star Wars movies have to get before you stop giving them a chance? I'll always give them a chance. I'll always watch them at least once. I'm probably never going to watch Rogue One again. It's kind of in my mind, it's sort of like even if it's bad Star Wars, it's still Star Wars, and there's elements of all the Star Wars, even the prequels, that I appreciate, even if the sum total of any particular movie is meh. I'm hoping the Han Solo movie is fun. I'm hoping that the new
if they
trilogy,
fuck that up, I'm gonna cry. If they, yeah. I mean, but honestly, as long as it's not that fucking list again, every Star Wars movie is good.
List?
Yeah, that stupid list you read about Star Wars.
Oh, yes, the black characters of Star Wars, yes.
As long as that's never canon, every single Star Wars movie, including the prequels, is now good.
Yeah, let's not make Chewbacca woke. Let's not make Chewbacca woke, or say that Yoda was a Hotep, for God's sakes. Ugh, God, it was so stupid.
Somebody asked our thoughts on Deadpool.
Deadpool is a great character that was realized to perfection by Ryan Reynolds. This is why you hand those kind of characters to people who actually like the characters and care about the source material.
Yes, the only thing that I didn't really like about that movie was all the popular culture references that will make it very dated very quickly.
Yeah, unless they're like timeless type of pop culture references.
Yeah, I don't think they were though.
Yeah, it's really hard not to date that movie. However, some things last forever, and who knows what'll still be relevant 10 years from now. I don't know how they're going to recreate that kind of magic with Deadpool 2, but I guess we'll see.
Who is the grossest or most horrible monster of a movie? Probably the Thing or the Xenomorph, one of the two.
Grossest, yeah, probably John Carpenter's The Thing is probably one of the grossest.
Shrek.
Shrek. Just because he farts all over the place?
No, I'm talking about Daredevil.
Oh, Kingpin.
Shrek. Yeah.
He's the grossest monster? Really?
He's kind of gross.
Okay, I don't think he's the grossest.
He looks like Shrek.
Okay, you've said this.
Have you seen the live action Hollywood Shrek?
No.
Or the Broadway, not Hollywood.
No.
Well, if you look at the guy who played Shrek and what he looked like in his Shrek costume.
Okay, I'll have to look it up.
No, you're going to see it live on air so you can agree with me that he looks like Shrek.
I saw Shrek the movie once, and that was enough. I mean, people are really big fans of that series, and like that. I mean, I will say that when I saw Shrek 2, it was definitely better than Shrek 1, but I've never bothered.
Shrek 2.
Yeah, I've never bothered to go back and watch them again. Let's see. Anybody else?
Okay, I sent you the link on Twitter.
Amy Schumer is the grossest, says Jane Dork. Yeah, she's a gross monster.
Have you seen Brain Dead?
A long time ago, yes.
Or Dead Alive, I think it was.
Yes, Dead Alive. Yes, Dead Alive was the Americanized version of it. Yeah, Dead Alive was great. The worst part of that movie is the soup, or the custard eating scene.
Okay, what's more? Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. You go ahead.
I thought you were done. When you're talking about, I can't tell when you're done because I don't know what's happening.
All right.
Jesus.
So I wait for natural breaks.
Go ahead.
Mara asked, what's more forgivable, too much salt or not enough? Not enough.
Are we talking about actual salt, or are we talking about?
No, we're talking about actual salt, like food.
Yeah,
salty?
not enough. Yeah, because then somebody can add their own. Yeah, you don't want to oversalt. Yeah. If somebody wants it saltier, they can add their own. Let's see. The baby thing in Eraserhead. Yeah, that was disturbing. That was a disturbing character. Eraserhead overall was pretty disturbing, but yeah, the baby, once finally revealed, is especially when the little swaddling cloth is taken off. Oh God, that was creepy. I kick ass for the Lord.
Yeah,
that was
probably the best line in that film.
Especially the way he says, "I kick ass for the Lord."
I starts fucking karate kicking all these zombies. And
when he straps the lawnmower to his chest and just runs into him, it's just so good.
That movie actually put me off food that I was eating. I was eating kind of the sort of pot noodle thing.
Yeah, the part where grandma's at the table and they're eating custard or soup or something, and some of her goo drips into it, and somebody starts eating it. That was like the most retching. It made me feel so bad.
Is there not a bit where they put a baby zombie in a blender as well?
That could be the case. Yeah, it's been a long time. Oh yeah, we haven't mentioned Monkey Dick on the Monkey stream. So
Monkey
there you
Dick.
go. Monkey Dick. There you go. You had your Monkey Dick. This Monkey Dick has been brought to you by I lost the plot there. Never mind.
I sent you Shrek. You need to look at it. It's important.
I will make the time to watch it after the stream's over.
No, just look at the picture of him.
For God's sakes. All right,
it's just all the fucking Shrek memes.
Okay, where is the Shrek?
Twitter.
Google. You sent me a Google search.
I know, because that's where the picture is. It's fine.
Okay,
just look at it.
Such a noob.
Yeah, it's a bald guy. Yeah, all right. You think it looks like Shrek? I mean, the Kingpin is a large bald man who's got a gut. Congratulations, anybody with a bald head and a gut, I guess.
It looks like Shrek. They have the same facial structure.
Sort of, I guess. I don't know. I think you're oversimplifying things, but
how many nukes will it take to solve every crisis in the world? All of them.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. All the crises go away because they'll just be the cockroaches left over.
Yeah.
Just do as you're told, Scribe Light. Mistress SDA commands it. Yes, thank you, Sinister Mind. What is the best?
That just feels wrong.
What is the best horror movie that is an accidental comedy? That's a good one. Probably House of the Dead. Yui Bowles' House of the Dead. Probably, yeah. I mean, it's almost so bad that it's not even funny comedy, but if you're watching it with friends, it's so bad that it's funny kind of thing. Okay. Well, guys, I think we are going to wrap it up for this evening. Again, all the best to Grand Monkey and a quick recovery, and hopefully Ranting Monkey and Lady Monkey get some make-up sleep for the effort in taking care of the small one. SDA, thank you for showing up, as always. Tail, thank you for subbing, for the most part, for Monkey, and being our Scottish voice across the pond.
Nay, bother. It's 3 a.m. here, so I'm looking forward to bed.
Yeah, you should go to sleep. And everybody in the chat, thank you so much for coming out tonight. We will be back tomorrow, hopefully with the full team and a rested up Monkey, but we will see what the day brings us. As always, thank you so much for coming out, and we'll see you later. Bye, guys.
Bye.